So
what's up, you guys? What is up? We are live. Hey, give me a few seconds. I'm over here making my coffee, so bear with me as we're getting this going. Let me check out my settings. Make sure all this stuff looks good. Good. And let me turn down my feel-good music. You know, I got to play my jams every day. So come on in, join the coffee chat. Grab some coffee. If you've never had coffee with me before in these little chats, now's the time to get your coffee and get ready to chat. Make sure in the comments you say what's up to me. Let me know that you're here so I can say hi. Even if you're catching a replay, you can say, Joe, what's up? This is the replay. But I want you guys to chime in. We're going to talk about some serious stuff this morning. Also, I'm going to show you guys how I kind of do my coffee these days too. I'm going to show you guys a couple tricks for those you guys are trying to get into the zone. And I'm going to show you guys why you don't actually necessarily need caffeine if you're trying to get yourself off caffeine. But anyways, morning. I see you guys coming in. What's up? Melissa, what's happening? So give me a second. I'm going to get myself together. You guys get yourself together. Get your coffee. And I know you guys already know what the subject is going to be about today. We're talking about knowing when it's time to leave a toxic relationship. If you guys been there, done that, let me know. Say, yep, I know it. I know what's up. Maybe some of you all are going through it right now, and you don't know, is this the right time? And it may not be. It may not be, but I think I'm going to give you guys as much detailed explanation as I can from my side of things and what I've done. And maybe this might help you out with your decision making going forward. Now, if you know me, if you've ever seen anything I've ever done on my social media sites, or if you know me in person, I am 1000% pro relationships, the ones that are healthy. Those toxic ones, you better run. You better run as fast as you can. Oh, looks, my coffee's ready. All right. So I got this going on. So let me show you my little concoction right here. I'm going to show you guys how I get down with my coffee. So yes, it is decaf, but not because I'm hating against caffeinated. I just don't have the caffeinated one I like this morning. So I have other means of doing my coffee. So one thing I add lion's mane to my coffee. This is like a mushroom. It's a powdered mushroom. And lion's mane is really good for your brain health. It helps out with your cognitive function, focus, alertness. Like for those of you all who are looking to get off caffeine, but you still need to get in the zone, you still need to be focused, try lion's mane. It is cheap and it is good. You can get it at any grocery store. Chocolate, all right, the organic cacao chocolate. Add that in there. Don't worry, I'm gonna get to the relationship stuff, guys. Just come on in and say what's up. All right. So I got the chocolate in there right there. That helps out with your mood, your stress, depression. When people stress out, when you're having a toxic relationship, what's the first thing you want to go to? You want to go for that chocolate. Well, how about before you stress, every day you put a little bit of chocolate inside your coffee? And chocolate does have a little bit of caffeine naturally in it. So I guess you do get a little stimulation from that, but it's not a lot. It's not like drinking coffee. Now this right here, I made some almond milk at home and I mixed it with some coconut cream. So I just blended it up, both organic sources. So I'm just going to pour just a little bit right there. And then my little mixer, let me show you guys. Let me talk about my love music. I was thinking about relationships all morning, have my love jams going on. Some sad, some good, but I want to share my story with you guys and how I realized toxic relationships. It's my little stirrer right there. Toxic relationships, man. Let me tell you, Ward said my weakness is chocolate. Hey, it's all good. Dante, what's up, brother? What's up? Freddie, what's up, brother? Anyways, hey, let's get to it. And look, this is a coffee chat. Like I designed this whole situation for us. Like we're two friends having some coffee. So don't have me sit in front of you like I'm the teacher, like the Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm not here to teach you anything you probably don't know, but I am here to bring some awareness to you. And I do want you guys to give me some feedback. My boy Freddie, I know he could chime in and share some knowledge. Dante, he's very, very smart dude. I'm sure he can chime in too. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about these toxic relationships and knowing when it's time to go. Let me just say this, and this is my personal opinion, y'all. This is not biblical. This is not science. This is my personal opinion. My opinion is we learn how to fall in love right? It's almost like natural instinct, but for the most part, I think our parents do a pretty good job kind of like educating us on what love is and what love isn't. Now, I think the thing that we go into relationships is we come unprepared because we don't know how to keep it together. We think we do, and we don't understand the basic fundamentals to what creates that strong foundation. See, if someone looks good, they're attractive, they got their stuff together because they got their education, they got a good job. Oh, you must be a match made in heaven because you think I look good too. And when we hug each other, we feel good in each other's arms. That's all we need to make some babies. Let's go make some babies and figure this out down the road. That's what people do. You know what I'm saying? That's what people do. But the whole communication, we talk at each other, but we're not talking with each other, right? We don't know how to communicate. We don't have an agreement. There was nothing in that prenuptial agreement that I know you guys all have, right? Written or unwritten. There's nothing in there where you guys made this agreement before we move in together, before we create these additional humans in our lives, these little blessings, before we do all that. When we talk to each other, how do you like to receive it, and vice versa, right? And then what's out of bounds? What's out of bounds? What's a way I will not ever tolerate you talking to me. I won't tolerate you, like treating me a certain way. What's the rules? Has anyone in this chat right now, have any of y'all gone through these rules yet? I didn't. Not my first marriage. I promise you that. Matter of fact, I think I'm the king of understanding toxic relationships. I was in one for 12 years, so I can give y'all a lot of information. I got divorced 11 years and 8 months too late. That's how bad it was for both of us. Our personalities, were just completely different. Doesn't mean like one person was bad and the other person was a good one. I don't think there was like a hero in this situation. Our worlds, we just saw life differently. Our views, our perceptions, the way we received and gave information was just different. I know my flaws. I know when I get angry, I get quiet because I know I don't want to get worked up and say something I'm going to regret. That tends to piss some people off, understandably so. Some people are like, well, show some affection. Show me that this is serious for you like it is for me. And although it is, just my way of relaying my communication process didn't work for that individual. And I didn't like how the person came at me hard. I didn't like how the person came at me and just threw daggers to try to get some rise out of me, some emotion. So it just became a very toxic, combative environment. Oh, let's see. Freddie said, I did on my last marriage, 3 times the charm. There you go, right there. Now, Freddie right there, now that's a walking testimony because I've made comments before about, what, if the first one doesn't work, okay, cool, that's just practice. The second one, that's gotta work. But if that second one don't work, you got to dig deep inside you to really trust that third person. Because how can you trust that this one's not going to happen like the last two, right? This person has to really, really touch your heart for you to trust them enough to be like, all right, I'm going to try this one last time. I'm going to try the 3rd time's a charm, and that's what it is. And then he had that conversation. So they set their boundaries. Melissa says she gets quiet too. What's up, Lindsay? What's up? So we're talking about knowing when it's time to walk away. So let me ask you guys something before I get onto my rant, because I can start ranting. In the comments, let me know, when is it time for you to walk away from a toxic relationship? Because let's not play ourselves. We stay in relationships far too long sometimes. And this is coming from a guy who's pro-relationship. I'm pro-marriage. People stay in marriages that they shouldn't be in far too long. You married the wrong person in the first place. You see, I'm a freak for those crime shows, where the people get married and they realize they want to be married to that person, and then they throw their it's so sad, but they throw their newlywed off the boat on a cruise ship or something. It's so sad, but it happens. I'm like, wouldn't it just been easier just not to get married in the first place? Married the wrong person. I understand the divorce process sucks. It's the worst. Trust me. I think that my ex-spouse and I, we were like both so stubborn. We weren't going to want to tap out because neither one of us wanted to be the bad guy. But at the end of the day, there's no good and bad guy. It just didn't work. Yes, marriage should be sacred, right? Yes, you should stay. But trust me when I say this, if it's toxic and your partner is tearing you down, you feel suffocated around them. And it's just like, it's just not the right person. You just know in your heart. So like, let me know, like, what is it? What is right for you guys? Because like I said, when I get started, trust me, I'm going to go all in, and y'all gonna be asking me to tap out, because I'm going to really share what's weighing in on my heart. And I had some very, very specific guidelines that I shared with Lynn, and I dug out of her what was hers, because, I didn't want her to be humble with me. Because I know that, like, I'm not perfect, and I know she has specific expectations. And I was like, look, I don't want to be caught by surprise because you have an expectation that I wasn't aware of. Let me figure out if I want to be able to even supply that or provide that for you in a relationship, because you might have some unreasonable expectations that I'm not willing to live up to. Yes, I love you. Yes, I really love your company and everything. But if we're going to take this to the next level, I need to know what your expectations are and what the boundaries are. Like, it could be anything as small as like having friends of the opposite sex to, hanging out with the boys or whatever, like, or how we talk to each other when we get an argument. How do you want to receive this information? Because we're going to disagree on stuff. We're going to go toe to toe on some things. How are we going to handle discussions? Is it going to be tabletop? Are we going to be facing each other side by side? What is it? Are we going to read the Bible first? What are we going to do? Play some cards, blackjack? What are we going to do? Flip a coin? So let's see. Ward said, when there's no respect. That's a big one. But see, we all define respect in different ways, right? Like respect for me is, if I'm wrong on a subject that I'm deeply passionate about, I would want my wife to correct me, not in front of the crowd, right? Pull me to the side and correct me alone, or especially normally, like, it's not that serious with me, but if it's with the kids, right? Maybe it's with the kids. You know what? She can kind of like correct me away from the children. That's probably a better example right there. Like, that's respectful. But to correct me and to overturn me in front of the children would be, to me, less than respectful. And that's just how I personally feel. It's not saying I'm wrong or if I'm right. I'm just saying that's how I feel. And then I feel how I feel. And then she has to respect that. She has to understand, like, okay, that's just how he feels. That's how he is. And then I'm willing to be corrected, but don't do it in front of the children. Let's see. Melissa said, I stayed in relationships through a lot because I trusted they go back to how we met. When it's good and it's great, when it's bad. Yeah. It's like we all kind of fall into that fantasy of like the honeymoon phase, right? When things first started, but like when you hit the reset button, if you're going to choose to stay in a relationship, you've got to have some ground rules, y'all. And it's got to be solid in place. And then you can't really complain if they abide by your rules, but these rules don't just stop at that one time. You're always growing. You're always changing, right? You think differently. When your value is not valued. That's a good one from Dante right there. And I want to tap dance on that too. But like my boy Freddie, like we were just having a conversation the other day, and he's a totally different person today who I know than he was before I met him. So he sees life differently from a different lens. He thinks, he talks, he acts in a manner that accommodates what works for his family today. So like you have to continually have these conversations because he's going to continuously grow. He's going to continuously, have more experience in his life that's going to shape and develop his character. So it's ongoing. That's life. So why stop at that one time in the very beginning of having that conversation? It's like, look, like, sometimes you don't talk about everything. I find things out about Lynn still to this day. We've been together for like 6 years. I'm like, man, I didn't know that about you. But the subject never came up sometimes. And it's little things, but sometimes it's like, wow, like life experiences, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, I get that's why, you are like this, and that's not saying a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, she's a very good cleaner. And like, man, if I drop something, man, she's like a ninja. She's cleaning. I'm like, oh, wow. I was going to get to it later, but cool. Thank you. But like, it's just like her life experiences like that. That's just a rule in the house. Like, hey, keep the area clean. Let's see. Wasarago, she says, changing and growing together. We stay learning how to be a parent, and the same goes for relationships. That's good. So let's talk about not being valued. When you're in a toxic relationship and your partner doesn't value you, how does that feel? Like you're busting your tail, you're providing, you're doing what you can, you're doing your part, but for whatever reason, you're just not living up to that person's expectations. And all they do is they bring negativity. And maybe we can skip ahead. Maybe you brought these things up to their attention. Like, hey, that makes me feel bad. Hey, I don't appreciate the way you talk to me. I don't appreciate the way you view my role in this household. I don't appreciate this. And it seems like you have this conversation over and over and over again. When does it end? When do you break the cycle? And again, just assuming you did everything in your power. You've done counseling. You've tried, retreats. You've tried coaching. You've tried whatever. It's just nothing seems to work. This person just seems to get worse as time goes on. So, but you keep it together for what? Some of the number one reasons people keep the toxic relationships together is either ego or children. That's it. Ego or children. My ego kept me in a marriage for 11 years past its expiration date. My ego. I didn't want to be the bad guy. I wanted to have the perfect family. I wanted my friends and family to look up to me. I had children. I had a home. I had a wife. I wanted the world to look like, look, he's not a statistic. He didn't leave his home. The home wasn't broken. Everything worked out. 11 years expired. And can you imagine something sitting in your refrigerator for 11 years too long? You know how bad that stinks? But guess what? When the doors were closed and the outside could not see in, people thought my relationship was good. They really did. They're like, man, and I'm not going to say we didn't have good times, y'all. Let me tell you, because toxic people are very, they have a way of balancing. They know when they push you too far, and they pull you back in just enough to where you don't break. But you're on the seesaw. Like, oh, man, what is today going to feel like? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Are you guys feeling where I'm coming from? You guys got some. I'm loving this right here. Like what you guys are saying right there. You got to understand though. Like when it comes to being a parent, you cannot tie that in to the relationship. You can parent together, but you can't have the children be a reason why you're staying with a very toxic person that is just unwilling to work things out with you for the long run, because this is your life we're talking about. And sure, we can all compromise and be like, yeah, children's a good reason, but is it really? Because at the end of the day, I know as a parent, my children will always be taken care of. And at the end of the day, dad will always be in their lives, so, I was miserable and the energy was so toxic and the kids felt that, and the only time that I really felt a sense of relief is when me and the kids, when we would leave the household and go do what we had to do, because there was no arguments. There was no animosity. There's no aggression. There was nothing, there was no arguments on finances, who's spending what, my money, your money, you keep your account. This is my account. There's nothing worse. I'm going to talk about some of y'all, and this is going to hurt some of y'all's feelings. There's nothing worse than a spouse asking to borrow some money. All right. There's nothing worse. That's so belittling, and if your partner asks you to borrow money, ask them, does this make you feel weird asking to borrow money from me? Should I just get a joint card for you just to get money so you don't feel weird asking me? No. I do tell my wife if I want to spend something, that's out of the norm, not going grocery shopping. If I want to get some on Amazon just because I want to get a bow and arrow or something, yeah, I'm going to run that by the wife. Like, hey, I want to buy this. Is that cool? Or I want to get a boudet what's it called? A bidet. I always call it a boudet because it's for your booty, right? But for the toilet little squirters, I'm like, hey, I want to stop buying toilet paper. I want a bidet, and I know it's like $200, but can I get one of those? That makes sense. But your partner shouldn't have to, be without, I just think that when you come together and you're one, it should be seamless. Like you guys are on the same page when it comes to financial responsibility, parenting, growth with the family, anything and everything, your goals, whether they're separate or together, you guys are on the same page. You're marching to the same beat. You're on the same sheet of music. That's where the communication and understanding each other comes from, but again, it's ego. We blame it on low self-esteem. We blame it on being scared, but it's really not that, because your ego can be positive or negative, right? You can think you're the best of the best, or you can think you're the worst of the worst. It's both your ego that's tap dancing on either side, so you pick one. And then like by you not wanting to leave the relationship because you don't want to be the bad one, because you just want to tough it out for whatever reason, but deep down in your heart of hearts, like this is just not it. Like I'm miserable. This person's making me miserable. This person's threatening to leave me like week in and week out. This person doesn't come home. This person doesn't check in. This person's like, rather be out with their friends than be home with me. I have a friend, and this is funny, because it's not funny, but I tell him, man, karma's everything, right? But he tells me like, man, my wife, she goes to work, and then like before she comes home, she stops and gets a drink with her coworkers every night. They just stop. You get off work one time and you don't get home until 3 hours later. Where you been? Why aren't you in a rush to come home to see me and the kids? What's up? And he seemed real broken about it. And the reason why I say it's funny is because I say, hey man, I remember when we were younger, when we were running the streets and you did this to ladies yourself. You did the same thing. Now look, see how it feels now? But in all realness and all seriousness though, like I told myself, this has to get fixed, man. You can't do this for the next 5 years, 10 years, feeling the way you feel. You're going to blow. You're going to break. That lid is going to pop. Know your self-worth. Check your ego at the door and take a very realistic approach. Be sensible about this. Like, look, you're supposed to bring me value. You're supposed to bring me value, and I'm supposed to bring you value. You're devaluing me by not at least having the courtesy to do these little things that make me feel good and confident and secure. By you doing all these other random things and not caring how I feel about it means that, like you could care less about me. So what are we then? What am I to you? Because I'm supposed to be your best friend, your soulmate, your one, your all, your everything, but you care about everything in the external world except for what's going on inside your own home. And she's Ward, she says your happiness and sanity is what you need at the end of the day. That's true. You need to have your sanity. You cannot, and don't get me wrong, you guys, like I feel that being 11 years past my expiration date, as far as getting divorced, I feel like it really did shape me to be resilient enough to withstand any storm that comes in my current marriage. Like, so it's a blessing. It's a blessing that was once in disguise, but now I see it, eyes wide open. I can look back and be like, okay, I endured the worst of the worst. And I know deep down inside that any mistake that I made in the past in that marriage, it's not going to be repeated in this one. I know that because I know how I felt. I know how she felt. I'm not bringing that to my current marriage. She's too special. She's too good. Melissa says, we share an account. I asked for money. I feel bad because he works and it's his money. He says it's our money, but mentally I feel differently. We had times I spent money not knowing the bank was low. Well, see, and Melissa, that's something I think that is I think that's important. I think that's important for you all to, like, again, go back and just reevaluate. Like Lynn and I, we have these conversations at least once a month where we go through our accounts at least monthly. We scrub it because, you catch things you subscribe to that you forgot you subscribed to and money's blown out the window. I mean, I just found some stuff yesterday. She sent me screenshots because I said, hey, send me the credit card statement real quick. I want to see what I'm spending my money on. And of course, I found two things. I'm like, whoa, I'm still paying for that? I got to cut that out now. So, I mean, it's good. It's good to really, like, if that's a worry of yours and he's already let down his defense and he's like, yo, babe, I love you enough to say, like, what's mine is yours because you're doing your part at home that I can't take care of. Whatever your part is, Melissa, you could be doing all kinds of things. You could be taking care of the children. You could be taking care of the cooking. You could be taking care of the household. Whatever you're doing, whatever your role is in your household, it's not his money. You're making it possible for him to go to work to do what he got to do. So it's your money together. All right. So when he says our, he's exactly right. He's exactly right. Now, the only breakdown is just really just a communication process of like where you guys are at financially, and if you read a book, y'all write this down. It's called Profit First. Please, please, please read that book, Profit First, you guys. Even though it's more leaning towards businesses, you can do it with your personal finances. Easy. And one thing that I got from that book was you should always know where your money's coming and going. always. You should know what's pulling from your account. You should know where your account status is. You should always know this, because if you don't watch it, then yeah, you're going to have those big surprises before payday comes. You're going to be like, whoa, man, now we're like, biting our nails. You just got to learn how to watch your budget is all it is. Now, growing your money and all that stuff, that's a whole nother chat. We're not going to get into it. We're going to stick to the toxic relationship, the toxic talk. I know some people who go through some serious abuse, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual. They go through some serious abuse and they stick with it. They stick with it. And then they kick that sucker out the house, and then the sucker comes back in, crawling on their knees just to be a repeat offender. Okay, and that's fine. Because I've done that too, and I get it. You want to give forgiveness. You still have love in your heart, and you still have desire that, they could possibly change, and that's cool. I'm not one to judge you and tell you how many strikes they get in your household. That's your household. That's not mine. I'm not in bed with you. You got to make that choice. But you got to be able to accept the fact of how many strikes you're going to give them. If it's an infinite amount of strikes, that's on you. You got to take some personal responsibility for how long you're going to let this ride. I know I did. I know it was so hard. It was so hard. Like, I had the biggest lump in my throat when I straight up told her, bold face, we're done. I'm not coming back to you. I'm over it. I have no love in my heart for you. That was the hardest thing, because I was more concerned about her feelings in her heart than my heart that was dying inside. Because every time I was around her, my heart would it would collapse. It was like I felt suffocated around her. Every time the phone rang and it was her on the phone, I would just be like, what is it now? Every time I pulled in the driveway to come home, I would sit there for 10, 15 minutes like, oh, here we go. I guess this is it. I guess I gotta go inside the house now. That was terrible, y'all. That was one of the worst feelings ever. So like, how can you live a life like that for the long run? How can you continue going on with someone? When is enough enough? Who in here knows? Who in here knows when enough is enough? Because Dante said, when they don't know your value. Ward, she said, you need to keep your sanity together. My boy Freddie, like he's in here too, and he's talking about he's like, we set ground rules. Another person mentioned there has to be some respect. So when is enough enough? How much can you endure? What's acceptable? If you can do it all over again, would you? If knowing what you know now, if you can do it all over again, would you have married that person? If the answer is no, then you got some real, thinking to do. You need to really consider your position in life, because of how long you gonna let this drag out. I have someone in my family who was dealing with a lot of some issues. We were talking about this, and she was just explaining to me. She's like, I don't know why I let this drag on so long. All the flags were there, and then I said, look, and she was just doubting herself and calling all kinds of, self-defeating words. But I said, look, it has nothing to do with you. You were with a bad person, and you were trying to see, all the good things. You're trying to look past that, and maybe you're trying to fix them. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with your character and everything to do with his, but you also got to understand that a part of you were fighting rejection. You weren't fighting to keep him. You just didn't understand why he didn't see your self-worth. You didn't understand why he didn't value you for what you brought to the table. So you refused to accept the rejection that he was throwing at you with all these little things he was doing. He wasn't saying, I reject you verbally. He was saying it through his actions. I'm rejecting you. I don't really value you. I don't really want you, but you're a convenience. For whatever reason, you're filling a void in my life, and I will use that until I'm done with you. That's just the case sometimes. Now, when you're in a marriage, it's a little more complicated, right? Now, maybe that person does rely on you, but they don't value you, or they don't respect you. Right. And they don't take you seriously when you say that, hey, look, I'm in pain. I'm hurt. You hurt my feelings. I don't feel good. I don't like these arguments. I don't like the way you talk to me. I want to do better. Can we go get counseling? No. Can we go to retreat? Oh, do you think that's silly? Can we have some personal, intimate conversations? Can we make that happen? No, still. You know, like you really got to like take a look at your life and be like, is this it? Because the longer it goes on, they're going to realize they can get away with it. And it only gets worse from there, y'all. If it's not getting better, it's getting worse. That's how life works. That's the balance of life. Nothing ever maintains. It's like your weight. You know, it's like, you know, your weight, it changes over time. A lot of times our weight steadily goes up, right? It just steadily. Maybe not like, you know, probably not going from like 150 pounds to 250 pounds in a year. Not everybody. But you might go from 150 to like 155. And you're like, all right, well, you know, I don't like it, but it's not that bad. And then the next year you're 160. You know, and you're just slowly climbing up that hill. Next thing you know, 5-10 years later, you were 150 how many years ago, but now you're like 180. That's your new norm. You know, now you're really like uncomfortable. You're hot. Your skin is itchy when you walk. I mean, like this is your relationship now. You've tolerated so much toxicity in your relationship. Now it's out of control. And now you really don't like where you're at, but you feel dependent on this person because like you got so much invested with each other and you don't know when's the right time to walk away. And now you got other things that, you know, like to consider. But let me tell you something. If you've given it every ounce of energy that you got, you've tried everything. You've really pushed it. You know, you didn't put it off. You know, you didn't try to get to it next time. All right, next time we get an argument, it'll be different. No, don't wait for the next argument. Do it now while it's on your mind. If it's on your heart and it's on your mind, you got to confront it now. But if all the confrontations and all the communications, all the little talks and everything, it just goes back to the same thing, you need to ask yourself, is now a good time to go? But when you decide to go, you better go. You better go and you'll turn back. I have this rule in life. An X is an X for a reason. And you leave that X in the dust. You don't go back to that X. Let me tell you something. My biggest fear ever was I did not want to be single again. You single folks, I got to give it to y'all. I don't know how y'all do it. I don't know, like that going on a hunt to the clubs, being on Tinder or whatever the heck y'all are on these days, Bumblebee, whatever. That is so hard, y'all. You know, like in the dating thing and getting to know someone and trust someone, you know, I dated for a little bit and it was the worst. When I met Lynn, I called everybody. And I tell her this. I'm like, I called all of them. You know, I was like, had all these girlfriends. It was like I was talking. I was getting to know people. I was like, hey, please don't call me anymore. I found the one. Click. Please don't call me anymore or text because I found her now. Thanks. Bye. Click. And that was it. I was so sure. Now I was gambling because, you know, I already like went on 2 dates with her, but it was a gamble worth taking. I was determined. My mind was set. Like, this is going to be my future wife. And I'm going to have a clean slate. I was marriage minded. I'm like, I'm a keeper. I'm well trained. I'm experienced. I battled many storms. I am unbreakable. Like, if she will take me, then we're going to do this, you know? So, but that's the thing. But also in that time, I also had my standards. I was already prepared my rules. I was like, I'm setting these parameters. She's going to have to understand, look, number one, I'm a broken man. Number two, I have children. You need to be willing to be a mother figure to my children. That's important to me. I need you to be able to talk to me without belittling me. That's my standard. I need to be able to talk to you and tell you how I feel without feeling abrasive, without feeling like I can't speak to you. If I can't open up to you and speak what's on my mind without you getting pissed off when I'm not feeling good, that's going to be a problem. I need to be able to express myself. Whether if I'm wrong or if I'm right, I need you to listen with a loving heart and give me time to really just let it go. You know, because sometimes we just need to talk things out, right? When we're frustrated and things are going on, sometimes we just got to let it go. And it's always a work in progress, you know, but we have these talks in between those talks. We have these things just talking to each other, like, you know, like, hey, you know, like what we're so grateful for. And Lynn, she's retired. Well, she is retired, but she's a divorcee as well. And she expressed all the things that didn't work well in her previous marriage, what she didn't like. And I listened really, really well, you know, and I do my best, you know, to be myself, but I also do my best to make sure that like I do everything that I can to be in her corner and be the man who she needs me to be. And it starts with listening. And it starts with knowing, understanding, and recognizing her value. I have to let her know that I see you. I see you and I appreciate you. We live in a gorgeous home because of her. I mean, if it wasn't for her, I mean, like, who knows what this house would look like? It wouldn't look good, not with my eye, but she works hard. She breaks her back. She does everything she can for this family. And I express it verbally, because I want my children to see that. I want my children to understand their mother's value. I want to put her on this pedestal so they always respect their mother. Oh, believe me, like disrespecting their mother in front of me, that's another level right there. Like they do not want to see my dark side. But that's me appreciating her value and me also teaching my children, this is how you should be valued by your partner. Because I'm not going to let my children grow up in a toxic household thinking that this is what a marriage is all about. We're the only example they got. This is not going to be the norm. And like I didn't grow up in the perfect household, but I still learned some things from it, the good and the bad. I learned things that I liked and I learned things I didn't like. I love when my family ate dinner together. I love when we had family TV night. I love when my family did game night and all kind. We had great things that went on. And then there's things that I didn't like that I felt like as a child, like it broke my heart sometimes to see in my own household. So we don't slam doors in my house. We don't holler and scream in my house. We don't blow up. When we get in discussions and everything, we talk it out. We do. That's important to us. So it keeps the toxicity levels down to a minimum at best, down to a minimum. We keep that stuff out the house because it doesn't belong in the household. Nothing but love and gratitude belongs in our household. And we're not perfect. Believe me, we're not perfect, mainly because of me, but we're not perfect. But we do our best to do what we can, and we continue to grow. And then again, I'm continuing to find out how I can serve my wife. I'm always asking her, hey, are you happy? She does the same thing. Maybe that's where I got it from. She's always asking me, are you happy? Are you good? I remember when I first went to my gym and I was stressed, man. I was stressed. We had so much stuff to do. And she always tell me, she said, Joe, if you decide to walk away from running your gym, she's like, I don't think you're a failure. I think you're a success. You did what no one thought you could do. You left your career to do this thing that you love to do. You had fun. You changed lives. You did all these things. She's like, I see that you're tired. You're coming home late at night. Are you okay? Are you still happy? Because if you're happy, I'm gonna leave you alone. You do your thing. But if you're not, I got you. You can pursue whatever you want in life because I got you. And that right there, like that just shows me so much love and so much value. You know what I mean? So these are the kind of conversations you need to start having. You guys need to start thinking about these things when you're talking to your spouse and be the one. Be the one. Show, display like how the relationship should work. And again, I can't tell you guys how important it is to have these conversations. Matter of fact, I want to like come up with some like playing cards or something, some like conversation starters where you guys can pull from a deck and like say, like bring up a conversation, like, talk about something if it's that hard for people to have a conversation. I think it would work. Or y'all can just call me on Zoom and I can just sit there and mediate. No, don't do that. Let me say my popcorn, just listening. But what I'm saying is, these are things you guys need to understand when you're in a toxic relationship. Someone doesn't know your value, or if they're not proud, if they're not like proud to be with you, if they don't treat you like, man, like you're the most important, you're like the MVP, the most valuable person in their life. If they can't treat you like that, you're in the wrong relationship. You really are. If they can't respect you and treat you well in front of their family, if they honor their family over you and you're married, that's a problem. And I say that cautiously because I understand in some cultures, the mother and the father, in some cultures, they're number one. But you also got to understand your spouse, when they leave that household and they have their own, they cannot place their mother and father over you. But you have to also understand that respect can't be diminished from their parents either. Just understand with certain cultures, I know American culture is different, but other cultures, whenever we're talking about African cultures, Asian cultures, Indian cultures, you got to understand, like you still have to understand, like you can't be selfish, and take away from their traditions. You have to respect traditions, but also know your spouse should never disrespect you. They should never disrespect you, and just check with you to make sure that you're comfortable, in the big scheme of things when it comes to family, but again, this goes to conversations that this needs to be had, but I think that's a great tradition. Honestly, I think like as parents, as we get older, yeah, we put in work. respect me, but I will always understand if my children, when they get married, I'll always understand that, like, if they get married, their spouse in their life, they come first. As long as you always respect your parents, and show that. But respect goes a long way. Value goes a long way. And then goals. You got to have those life goals together. You guys got to be on the same page. You got to align your values and your goals. That's what's going to get you the result in your relationship that you want. It really is, because what you value is what you're going to get, because you're going to put everything you got into it. If your spouse truly values you and truly values your happiness, then they're going to make it their goal. They're going to achieve that goal to keep you happy. Don't make people guess. Don't put people to the test. That's the worst thing you can do, to test someone's love. If you got to do that, obviously they don't love you enough. No, I'm joking. But really though, I think that's the most foul, despicable thing a person can do is test someone's love. Ask me on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's make this easy. Don't go through all these hoops to find out how much I love you. If I love you a 7 out of 10, then you a 7 out of 10. If you want my honest opinion, if you a 10 out of 10, I will tell you a 10 out of 10. Or if you're a 1, I will let you know you're a 1. Don't kill me. But but at the end of the day, it's just like, if you guys are having these conversations, these heart to hearts, and you're working on building each other up, like that's the best way you can do it. Because again, if you're in a position right now where you don't feel like your relationship's going like on the up and up, then now is like the best time to have that conversation with your partner. It really is, and if you guys are really super extremely toxic relationships and you're just really lost on what to do, now is the time to start talking about, hey, we need to start thinking about an exit plan. This is not working. And I'm not giving you a threat. I'm not threatening you with anything, but I cannot see myself doing this for another 6 months, a year or more. I cannot even see myself doing this for another 2 months. Okay. I'm just saying it is what it is, so like we got choices to make, buddy. That's what it is, but I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, like you got to have that real talk with somebody, like, because if you're fed up, your heart can only take so much. The stress can only take so much, like you don't need to wait for them to do something drastic. Don't wait for them to cheat on you. Don't wait for them to break your heart and leave you, like in the middle of the night, like Papa doesn't have to be a Rolling Stone, or you don't want little mama leaving you for another man. Like, listen, just talk to them and say, look, you're killing me. Like, these are the things that's been weighing on me. We've talked about this before. I can't see myself doing this for another 6 months. I really can't see us making it past a year. So look, we need to talk about an exit plan for both of us to where we're both good. We gave it everything we got. It's just not working. And I don't want you to start changing because you feel bad because I'm leaving you. I want you to start, making changes on how we can like leave as friends so we can still like each other, but that's about as far as we're going to go in life. It's too toxic. I can't do this. I won't do this. See, that's the thing. Don't give them an option. Don't give them leverage to think like, oh, if I just play nice and then like whatever. Like, no, you need to use some strong words. I will not continue like this. I will be quick to get up and leave you in the middle of the night continuing with this. So let's figure this out because we need to split this toxic relationship off. Like, that's the kind of talks you need to consider if your relationship is abusive, is extremely toxic. Like I said, abuse can be mental, it can be physical, it can be spiritual. Someone's breaking your spirits and you have no will to go forward. You need to save yourself. It really is. But at the end of the day, like if you start your foundation off right, or maybe you hit that reboot, because some of you all are not that far on the edge. So again, I'm not anti-relationship. Don't think because you had a bad argument last night, you need to go up and leave your spouse or your partner. I'm not saying that. You all know what I'm talking about. You all know when it gets so toxic, you're like, this is crazy. And then there's some of y'all who in relationships like, well, like, it's been bad. We've been going through some things, but we can make this work. We can work through this. That's good. That's why I'm trying to give you guys that talk about having these conversations. You can restructure your foundation and get it right. But you got to be on that level playing field where y'all can sit there and have these kind of conversations. It doesn't have to be weird. My suggestion to you is sign up for a retreat, or go get some relationship coaching, or you guys got to like be able to just come together and figure this out. That's the best ways to attack these kind of issues. All right. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining. I mean, this is freaking awesome. You guys came in deep today, but all in all, knowing when it's time to go, when you're in toxic relationships, the people in the chats right there, everyone was sharing like how they feel and things that like, like was weighing on their hearts and what really inspired them to either stay or go in relationships. But for the rest of you all, if you're on that fence and you're not really sure what you need to do, like just really audit your life and really think about like what's most important to you and people who you love the most, and especially if you got kids involved, protecting them sometimes is walking away, depending on how toxic your relationship is. Protecting them, is not always just staying together, but meanwhile, you're silently suffering inside and you're on the brink of exploding, because then you're going to start resenting your kids because you resent the relationship you're in. Then you're going to resent your life. You're going to fall into a deep, dark depression that is not fun. And trust me, it's not as easy climbing out of it as you may think. So you need to make sure you stay out of it. So anyways, guys, it's 8:51. I took so much of you guys' time. I'm so sorry. I'm over here just like killing time, just having a conversation with you guys. It's been a long time since we had these coffee chats. Forgive me for like the quality of the camera shift. My computer's acting all funny this morning. But thank you guys for joining me. And if you guys are ready for more of these kind of chats, let me know. We can have these conversations. But it's nothing without you guys having a little bit of coffee with me. So thank you guys for joining me. I will catch you guys later today. I'm going to see what else I get myself into. See you later.